Downgrading to modified GCQ status come February. Testing upon arrival will now be a thing of the past thanks to the new IATF protocols for inbound travelers. Baguio Mayor Benjamin Magalong is under fire over a controversial birthday party at the hotel in Baguio. No less than the contact tracing czar and his wife were spotted in the gathering. Local hog producers are opposing zero tariffs on pork imports as new strains of the ASF or African swine fever emerge in China. And it's business as usual for Gilas, despite the cancellation of the country's hosting of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Sean Yao. Local executives have weighed in on the possible quarantine status of Metro Manila for February. Let's get the details from Jenny Dongon, who joins us live from Mandaluyong. Hi, Jenny. Should we expect the status quo or a more relaxed quarantine status for the next month?
Sean, Metro Manila mayors are open to downgrading the NCR's quarantine status to modified GCQ. And they also don't mind extending the GCQ status as their focus is now on the vaccine rollout. MMDA General Manager Jojo Garcia says mayors are ready whether the IATF decides to keep the GCQ status or downgrade it into MGCQ. Taguig City, for one, has enough testing and quarantine facilities for the COVID-positive residents. But Mayor Lino Cayetano explains that the status of the entire capital region should be considered because workers are crossing the borders. For the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the more relaxed MGCQ status will be better for the business sector. PCCI President George Barcelon explains that this will prevent COVID-19 coma in the economy as most establishments remain closed. But Barcelon notes that testing and contact tracing capabilities should be sufficient and the public should strictly observe health protocols. He says Filipinos have learned to safeguard themselves now that we have been dealing with the pandemic for nearly a year. Let's hear more from Garcia and Barcelon.
Ang importante, yung mga targeted lockdown, under control ng mga mayors natin, yung minimum health protocols, no? Kasi nga, may basis naman.
Itong mga testing, to be honest, I'm hoping that there will be a move towards that direction. I'd like to repeat, para mawala yung takot natin. Mahirap yung, we're naging paralyzed tayo sa takot natin sa COVID, and then we're not moving, and the economy will die.
Sean, Garcia did not specify what quarantine status the Metro Manila Council had recommended to the IATF. It is expected to be announced by no less than President Duterte before February 1. Sean.
Thank you so much for that update. Jenny Dongon joining us live from Mandaluyong City. Inbound travelers will no longer be required to take an RT-PCR test upon arrival. Palace spokesman Harry Roque says that starting February 1, inbound travelers will only be tested 5 days after arriving in the country. This new rule does not apply to those who will exhibit COVID-19 symptoms upon arrival. Passengers who test negative on their 5th-day swab test will be sent to local isolation facilities to continue their mandatory 14-day quarantine. The DOH previously recommended another test on day 5, aside from the usual screening upon arrival. Meanwhile, the Czech Republic has been included in the travel restriction list due to the more infectious COVID-19 variant. And this will take effect later at midnight and last until January 31st. Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong has confirmed that he and his wife were in attendance at the birthday party of socialite Tim Yap at the Manor Hotel in Camp John Hay. The contact tracings are explained that they were there to thank Yap for supporting the city's tourism and for buying local art. Magalong also insisted that physical distancing was observed and that the party was held in an open space. The Baguio City Mayor said he will fine those who are proven to have violated COVID-19 protocols, including his wife, who was spotted unmasked during the party. The DOT Cordillera Administrative Region Office has asked the manor to explain why they should not be sanctioned over supposed quarantine violations.
Doon sa activity na yun, makikita mo, merong outright na violation.
Yes.
Pero it's because, siyempre, tao lang eh. Kumakain ka pa naman, tapos bigla kang imbitahan. Si tumayo ka, nakipagsayo ka, nakalimutan mo na.
Here are other stories we're keeping our eyes on. Over 2,200 new COVID-19 infections have been added to our caseload, which now stands at over 518,000. The virus killed 95 more patients overnight, pushing the death toll to more than 10,400. Meanwhile, some 475,000 have gotten better from the disease, with additional 140 new recoveries reported today. Malacanang confirms that Lieutenant General Cirilito Sobrehena will be the next Armed Forces Chief of Staff. Sobrehena is the current Commanding General of the Philippine Army and will succeed incumbent AFP Chief General Gilbert Gapay, who is set to retire from service on February 4. The medico-legal report on the remains of Christine Dacera shows that the flight attendant died of natural causes. The police submitted the report during the preliminary investigation into Dacera's death. According to the report, homicide has been ruled out because an aortic aneurysm is considered a medical condition. The report also noted that younger people can suffer from aneurysms even if they are more common among the elderly. We have more stories after this quick break. Stay with us. You are still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez Jr. and other officials continue to visit LGUs to check on their vaccination plans. For its part, the city of Taguig conducted a dry run for its inoculation program. JC Cosico with the details.
Government officials called anew on the public to not be afraid of vaccination, as the Philippines expects to roll out COVID-19 shots soon. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez Jr. insists that the jabs will undergo strict procedures before inoculation.
The vaccines to be procured by the national government will undergo the stringent evaluation and selection process of the vaccine expert panel, the Food and Drug Administration, and our DOH.
Galvez and Health Chief Francisco Duque III have expressed willingness to be vaccinated first to improve confidence on the shots. But Duque hopes they will not be blasted for supposed VIP treatment if they do this.
Isa lang po ang amin hangarin para ipakita sa taong bayan na ito po mga bakunang ito na napili at nasuring maigi, siguradong ligtas, dekalidad, epektibo.
Talaga magpapakuna po kami kung ano po yung mauna at yun po ang maaproban ng ating vaccine expert panel at maaproban po ng EUA, ng FDA. Kami po yung magpapakuna kasama.
Duque is also urging the public to respect President Duterte's decision to receive the jabs privately. He also noted that the efficacy of the vaccine will just be the same if injected on the arm or buttocks. Palace spokesman Harry Roque had earlier said the president will require privacy because he will get injected in his behind. But the health chief hopes Duterte will still change his mind.
Hopefully, he might still change his mind because we know that there are some world leaders who have openly had themselves vaccinated in public.
Meanwhile, Galvez doubted the basis of London-based research and analysis group Economist Intelligence Unit's forecast, which said the country will only be able to inoculate 60 to 70% of its population by early 2023. The vaccine czar says the Philippines will be able to do so by the end of this year or early 2022 depending on vaccine supply.
Ang pinaka-late na delivery is Q1 of 2022. I believe mali yung basis ng economist dahil yung ating procurement ang timeline po niyan ang main delivery is Q3 and Q4 and also kung just in case magkaroon ng delay, Q1 of 2022.
Around 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines from Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Sinovac are expected to arrive next month. With this, Galvez says a rollout is possible by February. Health workers from highly urbanized areas and with high prevalence of infections will first receive the vaccine. Some LGUs like in Taguig City held a dry run of its inoculation program in its vaccination hub at the Lakeshore Complex. Government officials oversaw registration, screening, counseling, vaccination, and post-vaccination procedures.
Pag meron ng reaction, nandyan ho yung gamot, walang problema. Pag emergency ho, may ambulansya, andyan na yung ospital, nakatime ho sa amin gaano kalayo ang ospital.
Around 670,000 of its population of over 1 million are set to receive the shots, with over 700 local health workers expected to administer the jabs in 40 vaccination sites. For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
Local hog producers are opposing the proposal to impose zero tariffs on pork imports. This as 2 new strains of the African swine fever have been detected in China. Shaila Francisco with that story.
2 new strains of African swine fever have been detected in several farms in China. More than 1,000 female pigs have already been infected in farms owned by China's 4th largest producer, New Hope Liuhe. According to a Reuters article, industry experts believe illicit vaccine may have created these accidental infections. While it doesn't kill pigs unlike the earlier strain, it causes mild field infections that reduces the number of piglets born.
Pagka yung variant mo ay ang epekto niya ay mild disease. Magtatamlay lang siya, lalagnatin siya. Ako kahirap na nakahirap na sakit niya no kasi marami sakit na ganyan ang diagnosis niya, manifestation niya. So mahirap yung management
With this, more hog producers are opposing a proposal by meat processors to impose zero tariff on pork imports as it will lead to more imported products and at the same time increase the chances of the disease entering the country.
Kaya nga namin naipit na tinututulan yung sobrang importation Kaya tayo nagkaroon ng ESF. Bakit tayo na merong malaking problema ngayon? Dahil sa importation, wala namang gamot, walang bakuna. At hindi, lalo na ngayong delikado yung natitira pang 30% sa Luzon at yung mga Visayas, Mindanao.
Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura also doubts that imposing zero tariffs could impact retail prices, noting how some traders jack up prices. Bai and importers also said that there are high prices of meat in the international market. Instead of banning importation, the group proposes to strengthen testing on imports as ASF can last 300 days on frozen meat.
Yung sinasabi natin tinetest sa ibang bansa bago nakarating dito. Pero may nakakalusot Kung may nakakalusot, mahirap yun.
The Meat Importers and Traders Association, however, tells One News Agenda that eliminating pork import duties can cause pork prices to drop by up to 45 pesos, which will help keep prices low for both traders and consumers.
We will be experiencing pork deficits for many, many years to come. So the solution, which applied then, applies even more now.
The Bai says importation of pork from China is currently banned. Despite this, they are also strengthening monitoring and quarantine imports of processed items hand-carried by tourists. As for vaccines, they are taking extra precautions as illicit ones were suspected to be the cause of the new strains. So far, they are in talks with around 5 countries for field trials, but it may take longer as expected.
Sila tinitignan po natin kung sino po yung merong best offer para po sa atin. At meron po tayong technical working group na mag-evaluate po niyan para ipapasukin natin ay walang complications na mangyayari.
The DA has also allocated 80 million pesos for the mass production of ASF test kits starting next month. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
And in sports, life goes on for Gilas Pilipinas despite the cancellation of the Philippines hosting of the FIBA Asia Cup Qualifiers. Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas President Al Panlilio says the national team continues to practice as they await FIBA's plan for the third window of the tournament. the Philippines backed out of hosting Groups A and C due to the ongoing travel ban. Panlilio says players are now focusing on developing its pool ahead of the World Cup in 2023. Team Gilas is currently training in a bubble setup at the Inspire Sports Academy in Calamba, Laguna. For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.